if I'm an owner, I'm hearing this right now, before I file my taxes, you correct me if I miss anything. The first thing I'm doing is I'm calling my CPA. I'm saying, CPA, how familiar are you with the SBA practices? Because I'm going to sell. I want everything above board. I don't want the SBA to reject this, and I want these books as clean as humanly possible. That's the first thing I'm doing. The second thing I'm doing is I'm calling yourself or someone in the SBA world. I'm saying, hey, what's the value of my business right now? You're gonna give me the valuation. You're gonna say, okay, we can lend, not the valuation, but the loan. We're gonna lend, we can lend 3, 2, whatever it is, $100,000. I don't know, whatever it is, on your business. Great. And if I want to sell, now I know when the buyer comes to send them back to you, and if they're approved, you kind of have understanding of where we're starting at. If you say, well, it's worth, I can lend 3, and I'm like, I want 4, then you could tell me, okay, hey, your tax return next year needs to show this to get to 4. Is that a good summary of kind of what we've talked about and what owners should do?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great. Is there anything
Spot
else I
on.
missed there?
The only other thing I would add is often seller will ask what the buyer needs to look like, because the business is one part of the equation, and it's on an acquisition. It's a good chunk of it. It might be 60% of the equation, right? But what about the other 40%, which is the buyer? What do they need to bring to the table? And I think it's important for sellers to be educated with this because they may have the answer right in front of their nose, in terms of an employee in the business, a key employee, a partner, a competitor. Um, but ultimately, I'm going to keep it very simple and just tell you that the 3 things I look for in a buyer in order is experience, number one. Do they have, direct industry experience is ideal, but a lot of the buyers we're seeing come to market don't have direct industry experience. Makes it a little harder, but it's probably at least half of our transactions. It's someone coming from corporate America, coming from tech, coming from the military, coming from wherever, but they're going to be relying on the seller for some of that industry knowledge. But whatever it is, experience is like the number one factor. It really is important. Cash, second, got to have some money to put into the deal, have a little bit of cushion left over, a little rainy day fund. And then credit is the last one. You got to have pretty good personal credit, decent personal credit, 700 plus, that sort of thing. But the cash part, coming back to that, the reason that's interesting is I go back to my former client who's selling their retail business, and he said, I got my manager in here that wants to buy this business. Now, he's going to need some cash. He might be able to get some cash together. SBA lenders are very anal about the cash. Where is it coming from? I want to see it in the bank today. I don't want you to, quote unquote, come up with it. But with a friendly transaction like that, where you've got an employee who's been building your business for you, helping you for 5-10 years plus, and they've got that sweat equity, I'm going to be a lot more lenient with how much cash they're putting into the deal, because when crap hits the fan, most buyers with skin in the game, they're going to stick around and try to figure this out. And if you've been there for 10 years, this is not just something you're going to walk away from. So I believe strongly in that sweat equity. And there's ways to structure these transactions that allow someone who you might not think has the capacity to buy a business actually buy that business. And I've done a lot of those deals with some creative structuring. And I gotta tell you, it's like one of the most rewarding types of transactions I've done. It's one of our favorite types of transaction. And it's one of our easiest ones to get done, even though the buyer may not be the strongest financially, but they know the business the best. And the transition risk, which is where so much of our underwriting is focused, is almost eliminated when it's somebody that already knows the business so well buying the business. So that might be something to think about too.
I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about that. The internal exit option, especially for this SBA size range, is something that more owners should consider because you probably have a strong number 2 already in place, or you can build that up. If you come to you and say, okay, well, it's worth 3, But right now, Tom's not really ready. But you kind of know, okay, now this is the path to get him there and to make sure the deal happens. Can shorten the time as well because of the factors on due diligence and processes that you mentioned earlier.